Amawulire agava ew'omukyala Janat Museveni mbikuleetedde ekiri mu State House Basatira si birungi nno ate ebituuseewo batunyonyodde mu maaso awo omukyala Alison annyonnyodde ki ekigenda mu maaso embuka aweddemu dda naye ng'ate ye Alex Waiswa mufumbiro musajja wattu naye si birungi omukyala afudde era ng'omukyala abadde mulwadde wa kansa mbikuleetedde ate kw'ossa n'ebyabaddewo mu kkooti omusajja yatemudde abaana abana ku ssomero wali eggaba yaleeteddwa mu kkooti ebyabaddewo nabyo mbikuleetedde naye nga kigambibwa nti waliwo oba oliawo n'ekigenda okubeera nga kikolebwa ku nannyini masomero ago ngenda kubeera nga kuwa mu bujjuvu ago nagasingakaawo oli ku Essie News UG kansuubire nti muli bulungi mujje baleko gyonna gye mukwasaganya eyo wabanga tonnaba ku subscribinga teekako notification bell videos zino zijje gy'oli mu budde Alsage Construction Company weebali okubeera nga te bakuzimbira enamba y'essimu ku screen yo aweri bakubireko okumanya ebisingawo weereza message ku WhatsApp oba osobola okubeera nga otuuka ku office yaabwe eri Mengo opposite Sir Apollo. Kakati katutandike ne Alex Waiswa mufumbiro kitalo nnyo kitalo ddala side ezenate omukyala owa Alex Waiswa manyiddwa nga Edith Katende mufumbiro ono yafudde olunaku olwaleero ku makya era ng'ono abadde atawaanyizibwa ekirwadde ekya kansa ate kati n'okukwatibwa kw'omwami we okutwalibwa mu kkomera Luzira ekyo nakyo kyagenda ne kibeerako engeri gye kitulamu obulwadde mu ngeri emu oba endala era ng'ono Mukama Katonda bw'atyo amuyise ababiri bano baakola embaga mu Desemba w'omwaka 2022 era nga His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Center muyabayimbira ku mukolo gwabwe bambi essanyu lyali ly'amaanyi nnyo naye ate kitalo nnyo kitalo ddala okubeera nga ate omukyala bw'atyo Mukama Katonda amujjuludde mu bulamu bw'ensi eno ng'ono afudde ekirwadde ekya kansa Alex Waiswa ali mu kkomera akyawera ennemba n'emisango egyamuggulwako ate omukyala we yafudde kati wegamba musajja wattu era omusaasira gy'ali mu kkomera naye nga kitalo nnyo omukyala Mukama katusaba amuwe ekiwumulo eky'emirembe amusonyiwe byonna ebyamusobako agumye ne famire ye mu kaseera kano akazibu ate ke bayitamu bino bye bimu ku ebyo ebyali ku mbaga yaabwe bambi okusanyuka kwali kw'amaanyi nnyo naye Mukama Katonda omukyala bw'ati amututte kitalo bambi side ezeeyo ne His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Center mu naye mulabyeko awo nga ate asaasira ku Alex Waiswa mufumbiro kwegamba okufa kw'omukyalo ono ate kulumye abantu bangi ddala kati eyo wenkujjayo baddiya mu State House Entebbe mbw ate si birungi eri President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni mbw naye mulwadde kati ate omukyala Janat Museveni ate naye batugamba omukyala agambye nti nno omukyala Janat Museveni mbw yeebakadda omukyala mbw yeebakadda mbutakyaliwo si bigambo byange akatambi kaakano kabatunnyonnyola ekiri mu State House wa President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni ate gwosaana agava mu ddwaliro.
Oh, it is unfortunate that we have to celebrate death because these people do not deserve to live. So in any case, Janat Museveni, the wife of the dictator Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is gone. She passed away when she was taken out from her home after the fall. She went on life support for a few days, but it is 100% confirmed that she's gone. Museveni himself is critical because when he was taken for treatment or surgery, a procedure that happened a few days ago. He has suffered a stroke. The problem with the Museveni people is that he has lied about his age for so many years. Anybody who knows the medical field you know that truth is power to you. If you lie, only you suffer. So he's lied about his age. He says he's about 80 something, but he's well over 100 years old. So a surgery must have been performed on an 80-year-old body, or suspiciously an 80-year-old body, as he says. However, because of the nature of the procedure and what was done, it is said that he suffered a stroke during the procedure that has caused him to be unable to speak. If he had said his age, it wouldn't have been recommended that he gets the surgery. But like I said, the way they think, the way they feel like they can control everything, he lied about his age, ended up getting the surgery, and now he won't wake up or be normal. So essentially, Uganda has no president or first lady. The country at this moment is being run by Salim Saleh, who is his brother, his son, Kainerugaba Muhozi, KK, who is the Attorney General, and his son-in-law, the husband of one of the daughters, the ones who own the legal office together. You know who it is. Kaihura is one of them. Mwesigwa is one of them. The other Muhozi is one of them. So with that set of people, Damulira is one of them, the mafias who are running Uganda at the moment. We don't have a president. We don't have a first lady. First lady is gone. The plans about the first lady is that they fear to disclose the fact that she's gone because they are afraid of Uganda celebrating. They are afraid about the circumstances surrounding the swearing-in ceremony because they expect Museveni to swear in. However, he has to look right and feel right. And so with the desperation of him possibly not making it from this stroke, they think that they may not have a president to actually swear in at that moment. So with Janat passing, according to her will or her last testimony of life, she did not want to be buried in Uganda because she knows that they have left a horrible taste in Ugandans, that they feel like if she's buried in Uganda, these are her thoughts when she was still alive, that when they no longer have power in Uganda, that she'll be exhumed and burned or killed, or burned or destroyed for animals to eat or whatever, because they know what they've done to the people of Uganda. So she has requested that she either be buried in Tanzania, where Museveni has built a whole city of his own in that country, because he also runs Tanzania through the President Suluhu. Okay, so with that said, other suggestions are that they bury her or bury something in Uganda and call that Janet's grave, so that if things go well, she will still be recognized as the former First Lady and a place of burial, so it's respected and honored. Most of what they seek is recognition, legitimacy, honor, but they don't give it back, which means that with all of that and the way they treat people, it is likely that Janet will be buried in Tanzania. However, the plans are to keep her in Rwanda under refrigeration for a period of time until they are able to bring her around June after supposed swearing in, which is not going to happen because now Museveni is also under the weather. The doctors have advised that Museveni not be informed about Janet's passing, neither be informed about the conditions of the country. So with that, they're illegally running operations, Salim Saleh and Muhozi, illegally running operations as unofficial president and son, or whatever the case might be. I told you guys last week that possibly Salim Saleh will write, or they will somehow make Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the CDF, the son of Museveni, the vice president. Because naturally, when a president is absent, the vice president is designated or is in the works to be president or acting in the meantime until the actual president is back to office. Same thing in where Paul Biya comes from, the president who has been on for over 40, maybe 50 years, Paul Biya. I don't know if he has seen what's happening to Uganda or other places, but apparently there was talk about his life or his end life and things. And they decided that they should choose a vice president so that if something happens to him, that person takes over. So strategically, he has chosen his son. The same script is what they're trying to bring to Uganda, to have documentation that indeed Muhoozi Kainerugaba will become the vice president, such that if his father does not come out of coma or whatever he's having right now, that the current vice president, Alupo, is shoved off to the side, which they will do without any concern, because they really don't care how anybody fares. Shove her to the side and instill Muhoozi somewhat by force, despite still being CDF, instill Muhoozi so that when May comes along, Museveni will not even be mentioned, okay? And somehow, whether the coup d'etat happens or not, they will slip in Muhoozi Kainerugaba as the official president of Uganda. Remember, the steps that should be taken according to the Constitution have not been in place, because naturally, Alupo, who is the current vice president of Uganda, should be in line. In fact, as we speak right now, she should be acting president of Uganda. But because Alupo is not an official rundees of the quality that they like, because they know now that they're hanging on by a hair, okay? They know they've lost Uganda. In fact, many NRM leaders like the Amama Mbabazis, the Ndugus, all of those guys know for a fact, and have confirmed to Museveni, that they have lost control of the country. So what they want to do is forcefully instill Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Museveni will not make it out of this. If anybody knows a stroke patient, coupled with dementia, coupled with old age and a failing system, because Museveni suffers from several conditions. He suffers from HIV, he suffers from diabetes, he suffers from low blood pressure. Now, coupled with a stroke at this age, it is going to be extremely, extremely difficult for him to pull through just to be alive as a human being, let alone exist as a functional president. And now that they know that, they're attempting every effort to try and make sure to put Muhoozi in that place before it's too late. Okay? So Janat Museveni is not here anymore.
Awe tuli mukwano omukyala bwatyo bwagambye naye katulindire tulabe kyekinaddako naye nga jjukira era aba social media in-laws abantu ku mutimbagano bo bagamba kimu nti bali mugamba kimu nti omukyala Janat wabanga gyali aveeyo akoleyoko akatambi kale annyonnyole bannayuganda kwegamba balina abali awo oba abali mu kunyolwa baddemu ku maanyi bagambe nti maama w'eggwanga gyali mulamu. Kwegamba abategeeze nti gyali mulamu munange babeerenga kwegamba baddamu essuubi mu ngeri emu bayendala. Naye nga ku sayidi wano omusajja yatemula abaana abana eggaba omwami Okello Christopher ono yasimbiddwa mu kkooti y'omulamuzi w'e Makindye era n'asomerwa emisango egy'obutemu okutemula abaana. Omwami yoyo gwolaba awo lwakuba nti munnange agenda kukomezebwawo mu kkooti olunaku olw'olwaleero ku ssaawa 9. agenda kubeera mu kooti. Naye omusajja alinga oba oli awo obwongo obutakola bulungi okusinziira ku mbeera ze, engeri gye yabadde atambulamu, engeri gye yabaddemu, yenna ng'akankana, yenna omubiri gwonna gukankana, kwegamba yenna ali awo tategeerekeka bulungi, alinga oba aliko ekimutuddeko ku mutwe, alinga oba aliko oba ekiki, era nga bw'omulaba awo oyinza kwegamba tali mu mbeera ng'ez'abantu aba bulijjo. Kyova olaba n'omukulu Lusoke Kituuma yagambye nti bali mu mwekebejja balabe oba nga ddala omutwe mulamu, bali mu mwekebejja balabe oba omutwe mulamu oba mulwadde, era n'agamba nti bajja tutegeeza ebinaabeera bivudde mu abasawo bye banaabeera bazudde. Naye nga leero agenda kubeera ng'era akomezebwa mu kooti ku ssaawa 9 ez'akawungeezi, naye nga embeera ze zeezo zasobedde abantu lwakuba nti kigambibwa mbu waliwo ekigenda mu maaso, kwegamba waliwo kye baagala okukola nannyini ssomero eryo, era akatambi kaakano nga tebakola ki nga batunnyonnyola. Biva Organic bakugu mu kujjanjaba endwadde ez'enjawulo. Enamba y'essimu ku screen yo awo eri bakubireko okumanya ebisingawo, weereza message ku WhatsApp, genda ku Biva House Mengo, abasawo gye bali bakulinze. Shey Ashrafu musomi wa dduwa, enamba y'essimu ku screen yo awo eri bakubireko okumanya ebisingawo, oba osobola okubeera ng'oweereza message ku WhatsApp, mukubireko seeka abeere ng'atta obulamu abutereeza n'edduwa. Kati katusooke tuddeko wano.
Bw'oyagala kuzimba oli mufuna mpola, tomanyi wa kutandikira, tukubire ffe aba House Construction Company, ffe tujja kubuulira w'otandikira. Oba ofuna ssente mmeka oba ofuna ssente mmeka, akakasente tujja kukagattagatta naawe ofuna akayumba we weebaka. Tebakulimba nti ssente z'okuzimba bazikuŋŋaanya, nti kankuŋŋaanye bwe naaweza obukadde 4 nzimbe, tojja kuzimba. Nti kankole emyezi gyange 10 ndyoke ntandika okuzimba, togenda kuzimba. Wabula woonootandika bw'oti n'ezizimba tojja kumanya gye zivudde. Bweti kutemya kwa liiso ng'ennyumba eri ku bbiimu, kutemya kwa liiso nga tumaze okusereka mpola mpola, bagamba ddiŋŋana amawulu agajjamu omukuto. Tandika kati, tandika n'ekyo ky'oyina. Gwe tosooka kulowooza nti ky'oyina kitono, sooka otukubire tukugambe nti ekyo ky'oyina kitono, yongerako. Gwe kuba ennamba zaffe kwe ziri, oba nsobola okuzisoma wano, 007 56 888 587. Eya MTN eri 0789 412 124. Twabagambye nti woofiisi zaffe ziri Mmengo ku kizimbe kya Byandaala, bakiyita Nayiga C Byandaala. Tuli ku level number 3. Bw'ova bw'oti ku Shero Mmengo, ekyaffe kwekyotuukirako. Jangu tuzimbe. Tolowooza nti toyina ssente nga tonatuuka mu ofiisi zaffe. Jangu mu ofiisi zaffe, ffe tukugambe nti z'oyina tezimala. Nenze nti wa z'oyina kw'oyagala okutandikira zimala era zijja kutandika.
The next thing I want to talk about is the Pastor Kasirivu, who owns Gaba, the school where the children were murdered. You know? Yes, Chilia, you're right about that. Museveni has to go. The owner of that school is a pastor. And for a long time, they've wanted the land where that school stands. Now, the other reason why they attacked that school, Maranatha High School, is because there is a relationship between one of the bloggers or the YouTubers called Asimwe Wile, okay, of Bible and politics. We're on the same wavelength. We're very close, and we share a lot of our communications. So anyways, because of the association with Asimwe Wile, they are going to ask or meet with Pastor Kasirivu to try and see if they can gather information about how come he's doing really, really well, including the school. What are his resources? Because the suspicion is that anybody who is doing well is getting funded from abroad. Or how come it's him and not a Rwandese person? So they want to understand his funding sources. They want to hear from his alternatives. How come he's doing what he does and has all these investments? Okay. Eventually tie him into some sort of crime Likely money laundering. I did share a video of a Sudanese man who claims and says for sure that he has been a money laundering partner of Museveni. And he swears and he says if anybody lacks that information or needs it, they should try to get to him because he has all of that itineraries and everything to share. So they will likely, because money laundering is an easy crime that they can tie on to anyone. Remember the father from Masaka who was a Deodat, who was arrested and tortured by Muhoozi. Even he was forcefully charged with a crime of money laundering, even though eventually he was released. But he went through severe torture, and Muhoozi bragged about what he did to him. So they want to lie and tie him into with his connection with Asimwe Wile to try to have him convince Asimwe or give him a condition of that if you get this man to stop speaking online about this family, about politics, then we will set you free or set your school or give it back to you. But they wanted to lure him by killing those children to bring him closer, bring him to a negotiating table so that they can try to arm twist him to accept certain conditions that they want. So it is not about a crime that was committed by a criminal, wanting, I don't know what benefit is there to kill children. But this crime was tied and absolutely orchestrated by Muhoozi, Salim Saleh, and the criminal gang to try to bring this man to his knees. And also quiet the population, depopulate, and bring upon fear amongst Ugandans. As I wrote in my post a few days ago, the real reason for killing those children was not because the killer wanted anything. No, not at all. It does not make any sense that this Okello came from wherever he came from. They're saying he's from Nuoya or whatever, Northern Uganda district. That he did come all the way to Gaba, to Maranatha High School, of all schools, to come and perform something like this. He must have been promised heaven on earth to perform an atrocity like this. Now, I also want to mention that being that this man, apparently they found out that he's from the United States or has a history of the U.S., in fact, lived in Virginia, I can see the rope long enough being tied to His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. It is likely that they're going to string it along all the way to there. But let's wait and see. Okay? So Pastor Kasidivu has convened a meeting with all of his members or his workers to try to let them know, to inform them about a possibility of closing his activities or his works. And unfortunately, he had also engaged other Rwandese people already who were very close in his business activities. In fact, I understand he has a church in Rwanda, which, I don't know how come that is. But these people have a way of hooking you up and stringing you along to wherever they want you to be. The other also thing that I wanted to discuss is, we see a lot of these Christian Interreligious Council leaders, this, that, and that. Now, because they also know a lot of secrets. For example, when they went to see Mrs. Barbara Kyagulanyi at her home, prior to the assault by Muhoozi and the SFC who was sent to the home, the Interreligious Council was sent to His Excellency's home to go and meet with her and try to strike a deal where Mrs. Barbara could speak about where her husband is or try to get him to call and also bug the home, obviously. Now, because the Interreligious Council knows a lot of information, when they call them to missions like these, they spill a few beans for them, just for their knowledge and operation, and then they let them go and do what they're sent to do. Because remember, 8 billion of Uganda's budget goes to the Interreligious Council, unquestioned. That is besides what is collected from the church every day here and there. 8 billion is designated in the budget to go to the Interreligious Council of Uganda. That means they will never be on the side of the people. Now, it has come a time where the boat that the government is in on the ocean or lake or whatever water body it is, whoever is on that boat, okay, and it's on life support, and there's water coming into the boat, and they must empty some people. They must lighten the weight of the boat. They're beginning to throw people under the boat, into the water. For example, Interreligious Council has become a thorn in the foot of the Kainerugabas, of the Muhozis, of the Salim Salehs, of the regime. Much as it's going through a cleansing or a change, now it's time for the Interreligious Council people or members to be removed by the Muhozis. Who knew that time would come? It is their time. They are figuring out how to do it to eliminate those older religious people in the council who have been there for so many years, okay? So many years. They have a lot of secrets. They know what the government has done. They know what they've done. And this time it doesn't matter if you're Rwandese or not, okay? This is to the extent that if you are a friend of Muhoozi and you know something, this is the time for him to choose himself and not you. However close you are to these people, when the time comes, you will be the first to go. So Interreligious Council, your packages are coming. It is time for you to get eliminated, and this is how they're going to do it. Apparently, most churches are located on wetlands because you were favorites for a long time. When a church was built on a wetland, as long as they performed for Museveni, they went ahead. They got all the permits. In fact, no one checked on them. So because all your churches are on wetlands, that is going to be the first line of attack. Eventually, you will also take the poison. Eventually, you will also land into some accidents. Eventually, you will lose your lives because you know so much. This would be a good time for some of you to leave the country.
Abalungi abatuuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tuchaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo sanyusa okubalaba amannya agange Yezeseeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde musomereddwa tunywa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala neetaaze. Enamba yange yeno eri 0701763711. Namwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu visa zibuze amaka gakolongotana sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go ebyo byokka bijja kummala nja kukulombera edduwa ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa eyawamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.